It's funny.
Good. It's not your fault.
That's we do. Discipline.
Thank you, Rally.
That's right.
I call the meeting of the Lynchburg Electoral Board for June 11th, 2026 to order. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I know this is our last Pledge of Allegiance. No, it is before July 4th. Yes, it is.
And flag taking.
Flag taking. Okay. Introductions. Shall we go around from registrar?
Trish Jones, General Registrar.
Gina Fisher, Chief Deputy Registrar. Amy Gibbs, Secretary.
David Levy, Chair of the Electoral Board.
Jerry Schrago, Vice Chair of the Electoral Board.
Jeff Rosner, Lynchburg Democratic Committee, Authorized Representative and Voter Protection Liaison.
Molly McLennan, citizen.
Carolyn Schrago, citizen.
Rob Webb, citizen. Judy Ferris, suspect. Oh, I'm a citizen.
Mark Hand, reporter, news and citizen.
And frequent attender of meetings. Okay, let's move into the agenda. I think it's in front of everyone. It was published. We do have a sort of general catch-up. Any unreadiness on the agenda? Anything to add? We adopt the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Passed. Okay. We have the minutes from the meeting, the last meeting, May 14th, 2026. These have been published. Any unreadiness? I hear a motion in the minutes. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Okay, now let's move into the announcements. I think the registrar will have announcements, but I do have to say we do have elections coming up August 4th and November 3rd, so keep that in mind. Any other announcements at this time?
I can go ahead and announce that Veronica Washington has been appointed as our new absentee ballot manager at the registrar's office.
I don't know if any of you are unfamiliar with Veronica. She has been a former, she has been an election officer and stalwart in the office. She's been good and helping us, so this is a great addition.
Yes. There's a press release that will be released tomorrow. Board has a copy of said press release attached to your agenda packet.
Good. Thank you for coming. Did you all sign and announce yourself? We've introduced everyone so far, but can you say your name for the record?
Andrea DeSantis. Barbara Tebbo.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Always good to have election officers. Okay, now the registrar's report.
Okay. All right, so as of June 1st, we have 59,867 registered voters in the city of Lynchburg. 4,600, just over 4,600 of those are inactive, with just over 55,000 active voters. Of course, that's a continuing change. Some of our polling places are getting rather large. 401 now has 5,800, almost 5,900 registered voters, followed by 302, which that's a moving target. And 201, St. Paul's is well over the 5,000 mark either too. So we'll have to be watching those as we close in on the next presidential election.
It's the presidential election that is measured for
Yes.
doing this. You know, going across it was interesting. In your next set of statistics, is it more interesting and better presented? Go ahead and go into the changes in the word.
Yeah, the locality statistics, rather than break it down by precinct, I broke it down by ward. And it shows the additions and subtractions that got each ward to what their total registered voters is. So the felonies, people that have passed, and it gives a monthly view as well as a yearly view. And then a percentage of change for the year and the month. It looks like each of our precincts is up. Well, Ward 1 is flat, but the other three wards are showing a slight increase in voter registrations, and I anticipate that'll get even more as we close in on the November general election. We've got a steady stream of applications coming through the hopper now. Things are starting to come in over through the mail as well as online or through email. So I think those numbers are going to continue to grow. But I like this report because it breaks everything down by ward, and you can see, so throughout the year, looking at Ward 4, 74 registered voters in Ward 4 have passed away, 80 in Ward 2 and 85 in Ward 1. So it kind of just gives you an idea of how we got to where we are within each ward, and that total 59,873 voters as of June 1st. So some good information there. That'll bring us on to the budget, and so we are, of course, a little bit over budget. David, you had asked in the last meeting about some charges that were made to software, and I've done some digging on that. I've been working with the city on that, and it looks like that in November and in February there was some charges that were placed under software that should have been placed under office supplies on the budget. So we're working on getting all that rearranged and put where it's supposed to be. Page 1 is pretty much the staff in the office other than the temporary personnel services. Down at the bottom. And then the $600 in advertising, I feel like someone had asked about that in the last meeting, and that was, the charges for advertising was the advertising that was done when the precinct change had to be moved and things had to be placed in the news in advance and such for that to happen. So that brings us down to the bottom line. We are right now, well, as of the day of this report, we are at 110% of the budget. And that was, I think, around June 8th when I ran this. So 110% of the budget. Now we have submitted over $85,000 in reimbursement to the state for the April election. So we're not going to get 100% of that back, but whatever percentage we get back, it's going to help offset. Right now we're $44,000 over budget as of the date of this report. So that will definitely help offset some of that. And we won't be as far over budget as I thought we were going to be over budget after the April election.
That is surprising.
Yes.
And it sounds like the cost of the special election can be the reason
That we're over budget.
that we're over budget.
Yes.
So there we are, although we did not have the usual June primary.
Right. So some of the costs for this primary will obviously hit this fiscal year, and then the rest of it will hit the next fiscal year. So So I was very excited about the budget, even though we are over budget, not as far as I thought we were gonna be.
What is your role now in the process of creating a new budget for, we have the city having passed its next year's budget.
Mhm.
And you're going to have to translate those numbers
Into this, yes.
this.
So that process, they send out, the city sends out the information regarding that sometime around December or November, something like that, and we start translating that. But my intention is I want to make the budget a little more clear. Some of the items, the line items on the budget, such as the temporary personnel services for the office. I mean, we always have those charges because we use staff for early voting. We use election officers for early voting. And, you know, as it is right now, that has $0 in it. So we really can't, you know, we're over budget in that, on that line, no matter what we do. So I want to put money into each one of the categories on the budget so that we can see where we are throughout the year by line item.
The election officers might come under the electoral board.
Yeah, so it's broken, it should be broken in half. So the electoral board would be charged for the staff for election day, and the office portion of the budget covers the staff for early voting.
I can think of charging all of the actual electoral officers to the electoral board, since technically they're under our supervision.
We can definitely talk more about that, but I want to get the money
Right.
in each one to cover the expenses that we anticipate using for the election. So we can see what direction we're headed in.
Any questions about the budget?
So we got some ongoing projects, and I apologize to the electoral board because I did add something to this and something to the next page after I had already done this afternoon. So the page program is an ongoing thing. I'm going to be having probably Gina take over that in the office, and we'll start gearing that up for the November election. Backup precinct paperwork is still a work in progress. We do have the annual VSSP exercise coming up. That is due on August 28th. So each of the board members, you guys should all have a copy of last year's VSSP now and the guidance from the Department of Elections regarding that. So we started working on the election worker software. The August primary is set up. We're in the process of adding jobs to the election, and I know Betty's been working on a couple things with that. So, Betty, do you want to share?
I've been trying to experiment sending you through it. Just to see what they would look like.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm going to talk to Wayne about tomorrow. I have a call set up tomorrow to talk to the coordinator with the software, figure out how I can send out the sort of standard correspondence that I send to election officers, like, hey, you've been appointed, and here's when our trainings are, and things like that. Are you available? So I'll figure that out tomorrow when I talk to him.
Let us know what you find, or include me at least in the call if you want to. But I'm really curious as to how we can better communicate with our election officers as a group.
I'm just wondering how many of them are, when I send them the first email to say, so you're going to get an email that says it's from election software. It's not spam. It's not phishing for your personal information. So we'll see.
Yeah, and then we're going to have to show them how to navigate into.
That also is what I want to ask tomorrow, is how can I just want some simple instructions for how they can each set up their own portal there.
So voter registration activities is an ongoing project. We currently have a voter registration drive scheduled in October, I believe, with Randolph College. So we'll work on setting those up with the other local area colleges and anywhere else that we can get out into the community and do voter registration. as well as election officer recruitment, because those can go hand in hand. So, always looking for election officers. I feel like the November general election is going to be a high turnout election. So, the more election officers we have, the easier the day is going to be for everybody. The deputy registrar position is open in the office. The requisition closes on Sunday, and currently we have about 30 applications for the job. So then after we get that position filled, then the office will be fully staffed. As we announced earlier, Veronica Washington is our new absentee ballot manager. We're having a dual primary on August 4th. The important dates for the primary have been posted on our website. They're on the front page, so there's no way to miss it if you go on there. Early voting begins on Thursday, June 18th, because our office will be closed on Friday, June 19th. And then we will be open 2 Sundays for voting for this primary. We'll be open on Sunday, July 19th and July 26th, both days from 11 to 4. And then Saturday voting will also be available on the 25th and August 1st from 9 to 5. Same day registration begins Saturday, July 25th. The recruitment of election officers and then the registrar's office will be closed on Friday, July 3rd. So, a few things coming up. Immediately following this meeting, we have early voting training across the street. And then we have our second round of early voting training on Tuesday night at 5:30, and Tuesday at 7 o'clock is the filing deadline for candidates. We have LNA testing for all election equipment on the 17th at 10 a.m. Early voting starts again on the 18th. Yeah, and then the July 9th is the next electoral meeting. So,
Who is the person you're contacting for the local Republican Party?
Veronica Bratton.
Veronica's still, even though she stepped down? Right.
Yeah, she's still
the chair.
Is she still the chair? Okay, good. So she's the person I would communicate with as well.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, one question. What is the closing date for applications for deputy registrar?
Sunday, this coming Sunday, the 14th.
Okay, and people can go to the HR, city's HR website?
Yep, it's posted on the city's website, yes.
Okay. Any other comments about the report? Hearing none, thank you, Madam Registrar. Unfinished business, do we have any unfinished?
Easy for you to say, apparently.
Any? Okay, let's move on to new business. First item is preparation for August 4th primary. There are a whole lot of topics there.
Yeah, that's a catalog.
You're doing some training of the early voting staff. Who's doing that training?
So Gina and I will be doing that training tonight. It's probably only going to last not long because of us transitioning to a normal poll book for early voting rather than checking people directly into the state system. So all the election officers, it'll be simple because it's what they do in the precinct. And then just showing them the ease of use of the ballot on demand. There's no way to get the ballot out unless the voter's checked in. So you have to hit OK for that ballot to come out. So that'll take away a great portion of almost all of the human error in getting voters the correct ballot. So we're excited about that tonight. We do have a training schedule, proposed training schedule that should be attached to the board's agenda packet. for you guys to peruse and look through as far as upcoming trainings and how you want to deal with that.
Shall we move on to that right now? Any comments on this, Betty? You've taken people, some of this. Certainly, I'm willing to, you know, more retired than I have. Are we good with the schedule?
Yeah, we should be. I'm not sure how much returning election officer training we need since there was legislation passed that affects our election officers. But I would still like to have some kind of review. They have to come here for it.
Yeah, it would be helpful again to have the election worker software to use with converting these people, these sessions. So, I'm sure we'll see.
And I'm wondering too, with the election worker software, if we chose to do, you know, a video or something to just update them with the dual primary and the steps for that, is that something that could be put on the election worker software for them to view?
It's a good idea. It's a really good idea. Are there, Madam Registrar, have you heard of any videos from other registrars' offices that might be available for us to copy?
I can definitely check. I do know of a couple registrar's offices that do video training for some of their officers, so I'll check in with them and see if they have.
I think that would be highly useful rather than reinventing the wheel.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a schedule for training. Who's coming to the training for tonight?
We have 6 election officers coming this week, and next week, Tuesday, we will have ballots.
Okay.
I believe we have around 14 people that were a pool of election officers that will be working during.
Great, great. Okay. We haven't appointed a cap staff yet. We need to do that. So ballots, we have lowered our need for a lot of ballots.
Yes.
What is your plan now?
So so leading up to early voting, just because of the, it's something new and we don't want to get caught in a jam, if you will. I did order 200 ballots for every precinct, Republican and Democrat, except for Liberty, for mail-in absentee, because we have to have ballots in the office anyway because of sending out mail-in absentee ballots. So we do have ballots on hand in the office should something, go awry with ballot on demand. And then we'll just take those, whatever's left, and they'll fall into our election day ballots.
What was our early voting for the special election, non-absentee? Do you remember?
It was 8,000 something.
That's a lot of ballots.
Yeah, it was a whole lot.
That's going to be a lot of demand on that ballot.
Yeah, well, definitely don't anticipate that many voters for this election.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did order backup toner and a backup drum to have in the office. Just. Yeah.
And we have the state ballot already. We have the order of candidates.
Yes, I've actually got ballots themselves already in the office.
Is that published on the website?
Yes, both the sample ballots are already up on our website.
Okay, good. Check that.
Question about that. I'm a little bit confused. Is the filing deadline that's coming up in June for the August primary, or is the filing deadline you mentioned earlier?
It's for November.
It's for November.
Yes.
That's the filing
Yeah, and
deadline.
the filing deadline coming up on Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday, whatever day it is, yeah. At 7 o'clock is local candidates.
So that's for the primary?
That's
That's for
from the
November.
November count, yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, the primary is already set.
candidates.
Yep.
As of right now, we have one candidate, as well as the party, local city council seats. Okay, other preparations for August.
So we're set up for LNA testing. All that is, the images are on the equipment, everything is set and ready to go for LNA testing on Wednesday. Gina has been working to get the election all packed up, so that's closing in on being done, everything that can be done at this point. We're ready to roll.
I think sometime later this month, it would be healthy if either you or we board members contact our precinct contacts, just to remind them.
I did send out an email. I sent out an email last week to all the precinct contacts, making them aware of the dual primary on. And I also contacted all the community partners with the city and AEP and such.
So the city should be aware as to equipment and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Good. Yeah. Let us know if there are any changes in contacts.
Okay.
Okay.
One of the things that came up is a lot of times they work on floors and painting and all this in schools at that time of the year. So I've already contacted them, alerting them that this is coming up. So please don't wax the floors the day before.
Well, when St. Paul's alerted us to the change of our contact there, I asked FJ and Elise about any feedback I should give them the contact. And they suggested asking for her to alert the congregation that it would be nice if people volunteered to be election officers. So it might be something, especially with your non-public school contacts, to ask them if they would put the word out for election officers. This is very useful. And we might even try to put those people in their congregations. Good. Any other preparation issues?
I think Carolyn's got it.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, we're changing the format somewhat here. That's okay.
Well, before I lose the thought, in previous dual primaries, there was quite a bit of emphasis put on informing the election officials how to interact with the public and asking them which
Yes.
primary they wish to vote in. With the new switch over to using the poll book and the ballot on demand, would that be changing anyway? Or is it?
No, they will still need to ask the voter which primary would you like to participate in, the Democratic or the Republican primary. So they'll still have to ask that question, and the poll book will prompt them to choose either the Democratic or the Republican. And then the very last screen that comes up, it tells them you have checked the voter into, in big blue letters, the Democratic primary, or in big red letters, the Republican primary. And then once they hit OK, then the ballot comes out of the primary.
Thank you.
The previous time we had a dual primary, we spent some time in the training on the script for that question.
Yeah.
And that's something we need to do this time too as well. And it's always a source of some confusion at the polling place. Good. Other concerns or questions about the August 4th primary? That's good. Okay, I don't think we need to take any votes or motions. Shall we move on to appointment of election officers? Betty, would you report on our election officer?
Yes, as of yesterday, I had applications from 19 people who want to be election officers. Only 2 of them are actually returning election officers. And 3 of them came from Gina going to a community event last Friday. And she got some registered voters and also election officer applications. So there are 19 names here and, I added it all in, I forget, I didn't break down how many were this, but this will bring us up to a total of 55 Democratic identified election officers and 49 identified Republican election officers and 55 non-affiliated for a total of 159.
How many non?
I'm sorry,
How many
55.
non-55.
Did you happen to send this list to the party chairs?
I did not yet.
You could have to. I think we can do the meeting. Let's do that. If there's a problem, we need to know. Any questions about this? I think that's applicable. Fantastic.
Yeah, we have some people to invite to our election officer.
Exactly. And we have good balance still of party affiliations, with surprisingly the Democrats. Unaffiliated. Okay, is there a motion to approve these two year terms?
Well, except the one woman that has been doing this for years, Kathy Shaw.
Yes,
So, except
3-year term.
Yeah. I make a motion to appoint these 19 election officers for mostly one-year terms.
And that would be a term of decades.
That will, all of their terms always expire at the end of February. So most of these will be in next February.
2027. Okay, so for Ms. Shaw, 3 years. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any concerns? All in favor? Aye. That's unanimously. Thank you. Any other new business? Okay. Keep moving this meeting.
No.
Public comments. Mr. Rosner.
Yes. Thank you. I have a comment on the firehouse primary. The Office of the Attorney General is investigating the firehouse primary. On June 8th, his office sent a letter to the Lynchburg Republican Committee. The letter says that his office will determine whether, quote, certain protected voters were excluded from participating in the election. And it also says, it's unquote, and it also says that his office, quote, has concerns that the LRCC's processes and practices may have violated state law, unquote. There are also 3 appeals of the firehouse primary within the Republican Party, so the firehouse primary may be thrown out. Code of Virginia 24.2-509 requires that active duty military, disabled people, college students, and some others can't participate in a nomination process they can't attend. The Republican committee provided absentee ballots, but there are problems with the committee's absentee process. These problems involve both the exclusion of some voters from casting absentee ballots and the process for those voters who did cast absentee ballots. At first, the Republican committee only contacted voters on the permanent absentee list about absentee ballots. As stated by Jeff Ryer, the Republican state chair, in a WSET interview on May 19th. So the committee did not contact voters who requested an absentee ballot for state-run primaries, but are not on the permanent list. Second, absentee ballots had ranked choice voting, then were counted based on plurality voting. So absentee voters did not participate the way that they had intended. Third, the same code section 24.2.509 requires that those absentee voters participate, those absentee voters, that is those who did cast absentee ballots for the firehouse primary, that they participate under the political party's rules, but they did not. The Republican Party plan, Article 8, Section P, says if ranked choice voting is included in a call, it must be used. The Republican committee ignored that rule. The LRCC's March 31st call for the firehouse primary included ranked choice voting. Then on May 19th, the committee voted not to use it. In 2024, the Lynchburg Republican City Committee was planning a firehouse primary, and the Republican House of Delegates leader asked then Attorney General Jason Miyares for an opinion. In his opinion, Miyares found that the practical effect of a firehouse primary would be to exclude military voters. His reason was that a Department of Defense directive limited their ability to engage in partisan political activity. The office of current Attorney General Jay Jones will review whether eligible active duty military and other groups were, quote, effectively disenfranchised, unquote, as stated in the letter that I've already mentioned from the Attorney General's office to the Republican committee. Also, in his opinion, Attorney General Miyares also noted that, quote, a party canvass resembles a primary, but is party run and is closed to non-members, unquote. The Virginia absentee ballot application form, permanent absentee option, only asks which party primary ballots the applicant would like to receive. It does not ask about party membership. So, participation in a party canvass is more limited than participation in a state-run primary. Although the 2026 firehouse primary is usually called that, it is a party canvass, as stated in the LRCC's call for the firehouse primary. In other words, at the beginning it says call firehouse primary / party canvass. And then there are some other possibilities. Code of Virginia 24.2-612 requires that the registrar forward a list to the State Department of Elections after the expiration of the time for a candidate for any office to qualify for the official ballot. The list will include those who have qualified as candidates for the November general election and also those who have failed to qualify. This year, that will be in August. Then, the Department of Elections will advise the registrar of the accuracy of the list. So, if the firehouse primary is legal, the 3 candidates chosen in the firehouse primary are qualified to be on the November ballot. If the firehouse primary is illegal, they are not qualified. The Department of Elections would make that decision. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I have a couple of questions. Where was the public event where you got the registrations?
It was on the corner of 12th and Kemper Street, and it was through Peacemakers organization.
Thank you. I have, let me finish writing first. 12th and Kemper. So I've heard that the application to become a voter has been changed or is going to be changed.
Yes, there will be some things that'll be changing.
Could you tell me what the change is?
The Department of Elections has not released a lot of information about that yet, but it's got to do with the King and O'Bannon case that is in regards to common law felonies. Back in 100 years ago, there was an original list of common law felonies, and so with that court ruling, the Department of Elections is working to adjust the voter registration application, because unless you are convicted of one of the defined common law felonies, then you will be allowed to register to vote. Yes. So they're working on rewording
Oh, my
the,
goodness.
Yeah, it's even more complicated because it may involve just federal elections, not state.
not state elections. So
So it's going to be a little bit of a tricky one.
So do
If you
you,
look at the list of common law felonies from a century ago, they're interesting.
yes.
yeah. It would be more, I thought it would be more helpful to just know the felonies that are not affected.
Yeah.
Than the ones
There's
that
only
are affected.
I think there's like maybe 10 or 11 things on the list.
I think
So-
even fewer.
Yeah, so it's
It's an extensive list, yeah. Well, so do you anticipate it affecting restoration rights much? Because people who lost their rights when they shouldn't have should be able to get their rights back, but they should be able to get their rights back anyway if they're not incarcerated.
Well,
So what
this-
difference does it
so the
make?
state registration system has already been updated. They have already done updates in the state registration system to remove everything except for the common law felonies.
They've gone through the convictions.
Yeah, they went through the whole felony, we call it the felony hopper stuff in Veris to make sure that they cleaned everything up except for the common law felonies. So now, the stage that we're at right now, if it goes through, good, we're done with it. If it does not, then we put it in what we call the incomplete hopper, and we send the information up to the Department of Elections for them to further investigate and research whether this person would fall into the common law felony.
So a person can, who has lost their rights, can go to the website and click someplace and find out if they have been restored.
I
So
was,
that would stay the
They may
same.
have to reapply.
yeah,
They what?
They may have to reapply and say they were convicted of a felony, and have the state check whether it was a felony that.
falls within the,
But if they got it back, they would have gotten it back.
That's
If
right.
they need to
Yes.
reapply, they have now the chance of saying they shouldn't have lost them in the first
begin,
place.
It's
right?
not going to
It's-
be a local, it's not going to be a local decision, it's going to be a state decision.
Yeah, and it's very broad right now, so it's, we're just taking the guidance and the steps as it comes down from the Department of Elections.
It's going
So
to be.
we're waiting for the administration to start moving some of the applications.
It's true, and it's going to be confusing to the individual voters, to be sure.
Yes.
So does this mean that in some cases, in effect, someone's rights will be restored without having to go through the usual process?
Yes.
Petition process, yes. It-
But people don't know anyway, because a lot of rights are restored by governors
Right.
without a person applying. And then they sent the information to the address on hand, and Usually when I tell somebody that, they just laugh because they prove so much sense.
Well, we do have
So
that
you need
issue
to,
on the ballot in November as well.
Yes,
If you
yeah.
touch
Yes.
On the subject. So,
Has-
focus on that and whether it answers your questions or not.
so
Okay, I think,
the state usually does a very nice job, I think, of printing information on the amendments that are going to be on the ballot. Have they done that yet?
Not yet. They won't do that until we get through, we gotta get through August before we can
and
get to
there
November.
are at least one or maybe two lawsuits about the language right now.
The language for which ones?
For the
Abortion.
the abortion one and maybe the same-sex marriage.
Oh, that's
The
too
last
bad.
word that I heard from elect about that was that, as long as everything is settled, they fully anticipate having all of that ready prior to the beginning of early voting for the November election. So,
And wouldn't expect the courts this time to rule in an orderly way.
that's, that's
Let's say about money.
Well, it would be nice to have it now because you're talking, you could talk to people who've come out to vote and say, hey, did you know there'll be 3 amendments on the.
But that's not, so the Department of Elections doesn't create that.
No,
That writing is given by the General Assembly. So until the Department of Elections receives that information from the General Assembly, they can't do anything.
Oh, thank you.
that's right. Okay, any other comments or concerns?
One more question.
Carol?
The governor, when she came into office, reinstated our participation in ERIC.
Mhm.
Has there been any information about that, or has it started, or do you know anything?
We do, so Virginia has rejoined ERIC. And
What's Eric for?
so,
Those of us who don't know.
electronic registration,
Information system?
information center,
And what does it
I
do?
believe. So it helps to, so before we rejoined ERIC, we had partnerships with other states that would allow states to kind of compare, if you want to call it, voter registration data to help eliminate people from being registered in 2 states and such happening. So ERIC is kind of an in-house, if you will, rather than the states working together, ERIC does the work on their part.
How many states are in Eric? Maybe 20,
I think it's 26,
26?
I believe.
And right now, we have mutual agreements with 10 or 12.
Yeah.
states.
States, so it'll be a larger platform, to be rejoined, but we have officially rejoined ERIC. They're just working out the schematics of everything still up at the,
But you haven't
Well,
seen
we
any
have
results
a-
yet, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
For the November election day, do you think we'll have a report of duplicate registrations from Eric?
I would anticipate that we will, because, this is gonna be a highly contentious election, and Virginia is gonna be on the map with this election, so I would highly anticipate something from ERIC prior to, leading up to November.
Okay,
I did have a comment since the firehouse primary was brought up, I did want to comment that there's been a lot of basically allegations of wrongdoing from the Democratic side with very little substantive evidence. It's more like raising a question or making an accusation with very little evidence, which kind of reminds me of Candace Owens' podcast of accusing Richard Macron of being a man. Where's the evidence? But at any rate, I find it somewhat, I would say amusing, but it's not really amusing, that the Democrats are so invested in disenfranchising voters with the Republican firehouse primary when they themselves had no primary. So it's easy to say you did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong with no evidence for those accusations. But yet they disenfranchise basically the whole city. So I just want to make that point. Thank you.
okay. do want to take the opportunity to have the last word.
Just as.
Yeah, just-
So,
No, I think we should put the firehouse behind us.
I agree.
I would like to say that the firehouse is a case study of how hard it is to run an election and not have criticism and not have problems. And it's a tribute to the system that Virginia has set up for a public election system that we seem to have fewer complaints. Thank goodness. But it does put a lot of pressure on your electoral board to keep it that way. Some of our members who have experienced both ways here, it's a delicate thing to do. Thank you. That's enough on the firehouse. Any other comments or concerns?
Just thank you for what you do. Good work, appreciate it.
Well, with that, is there a motion to adjourn? I'll make that motion. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. That's unanimously. Very good. Thank you.